Hello again. A short while ago it came to light that the only occasions on which the use of baton rounds, more commonly known as plastic bullets, had been authorised in this country had been at events which involved black people. There was much synthetic horror at this discovery and a good deal of muttering about police racism. The problem is, of course, that for whatever reason, and really the reason doesn't matter, it so happens that rioting, looting and disorder tend to be far more common when large groups of young black people are involved than when, say, white crowds are present. I hasten to add that this is, of course, a matter of degree rather than being an absolute. That is to say, it is, of course, not the case that every crowd of black people becomes violent and threatening, any more than we could claim that there have never been any disorderly white crowds. We are talking about tendency and the likelihood. So it is, if we cast our minds back over the last half century in England and think of riots, we come up with the Notting Hill Carnival in 1976, the Lewisham riot, St Paul's in Bristol, the 1981 riots in London, Tops Death in Liverpool, Moss Side in Manchester, the Brixton riot, Handsworth, Broadwater Farm, the 2011 riot which began in Tottenham, and so on. All these occasions, when public order broke down, began in areas where a lot of black people became aggressive and violent. They may well have felt that they had cause, but that is the fact of the matter. I wonder if anybody can come up with a few riots in the last half century which began with white people and didn't involve or were triggered by people with darker skins. I mention this because a dreadful trend is gaining ground in the United States, and we are beginning to see the first manifestations of it in England. This entails mob violence and robbery by large groups of young black people. This is undertaken by the simple expedient of rampaging around aggressively so that people back off under the fear of being attacked. This then leaves the members of the crowd free to steal whatever they can lay their hands on. In the description to this video is a link to such an attack on a shop in Los Angeles a few days ago. Watch and you will see clearly what I am talking about. This was a carefully orchestrated assault by a large number of people. Pepper spray was used on the security guards to incapacitate them, and other staff and shoppers simply backed off and let these people get on with it. $100,000 worth of goods were stolen. In the process, the mob smashed up the place, seemingly with the aim of destroying what they could not steal. Make no mistake about it, this is an attack on civilization itself. Other cities in the United States are being treated in the same way, and of course some shops are simply closing down, especially in areas where a lot of black people live. Smaller looting expeditions are launched on sweet shops and garages. The pattern is always the same. The participants steal as much as they can and at the same time set out to cause as much damage as possible, breaking things all over the place. The long-term consequences of this will be that shops in black areas will simply pull out, and then that will disadvantage the black community even more because they will have to go further afield to do their shopping. It's only by studying what is going on in America that we can fully understand some news items in this country. I wonder if people have heard about the fact that some branches of supermarkets now require one to scan receipts before the gates on the self-service area open to let them out. This is causing annoyance, but it's due to the first stirrings of this American trend in England. Theft from supermarkets is becoming increasingly open and bolder. The phenomenon of thieves simply filling a bag up with goods and just marching out of the shop is on the increase. Those undertaking raids of this kind are usually black. I advance no hypothesis about the cause of this behaviour, which I am sure that some will attribute to Tory austerity and others to the ill effects of living in a racist society. That doesn't matter. The fact remains that systematic and open looting like this is almost always the work of young black people, just as riots and civil disorder too are usually associated with that ethnic group. A section of the population believes that violence and aggression are the way to get what they want in life, rather than working hard and saving. It would be interesting to know how much they have acquired of this view at home and where else they might have picked up such a distorted and strange idea about the way to carry on. We might also speculate on where this is going to lead us in the future.